was inspired to... How did I get inspired to do this? How did this even come up? Oh, I know. I posted the other day in Discord the Under the Sea clip. And don't ask me why I sought it out off my own back. Ever since Disney started... ever since Disney started doing these remakes several years ago, and turning it into a conveyor belt, you know, like churning one or two out every year, which they've done in rapid time. And honestly, all I can assume is that they want to do it before people catch on, you know. So anyway, let's just say it's been the last 6 or 7 years that they've been doing them, and I've been repulsed by them ever since. And every time I've seen any clip of them, which I have quite a lot in the last couple of days, I'm afraid to say, it's just cemented my feelings more and more. Okay, there's never been anything that I've seen that has given me like, oh. So look, I'm mostly going to be focused on four pairs of films, if you like. And they are the big, because they've now done all four of the big four. They're the best ones from the most successful, acclaimed period of Disney animation, which is The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, and Aladdin. This is Howard Ashman, who was the co-writer of all the Disney Renaissance songs. So he did all the songs for Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and several of them for Aladdin. So to summarise, Howard Ashman was talking about the challenge of live action musicals, and saying how it's actually quite difficult to do that well, because when you're in animation you get a lot more freedom. So I think the first thing I want to talk about is the inherent advantage of Disney films being animated. Here's Lumiere in 1991, this charming... his character design. Now this is something that you can do in animation that is a lot harder to do in a live action or a photorealistic CGI. The character design tells you things about the character without them saying a word, opening their mouths, doing anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know everything about Lumiere by looking at his facial expressions. You can see he's charming, he's witty, you know, he's got this big cheesy grin, you know, you are informed of things. Think about Scar, right? Scar and Jafar, because they actually share a lot of these traits. You know, they're skinny and that kind of implies this. Well, in the case of Scar, apart from anything else, it's supposed to show that he physically is inferior to Mufasa and later Simba, right? Whereas if you look at the live action one, he's the same size. He might be a bit smaller than Mufasa, but at the end when he fights Simba, they're the same size. So you've missed this idea of him. The idea is he's got a yard up top, hasn't he? That's the whole point. Teddy Sheringham. He'll outwit you. He's cunning and creepy and slimy. He's not physically strong. Whereas, and the thing is, this design of Lumiere in the remake is not even remotely the worst one. Who in the hell is this? This is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in my life. It is horrible. And just imagine, like, you're a kid, right? You're 6 years old. You go into the cinema to see a film, and you're like, oh, can't wait to see all the cuddly characters. You know, there is not. I refuse to believe that there are kids who, outside of like social pressures and marketing and stuff like that, would look at the design of, to take this example, Mrs. Potts and Chip, that friendly face, the big, you know, that sort of plump, happy, friendly, you know, those characters, and would choose to go this and see this over that. I think it's very, very. I find that impossible to believe. In fact, it kind of diminishes animation as a form, and kind of the implication is, sure, we made that film in 1991 animated because that was the only way we could do it. But now we've got the technology, we can make a better version with real people and computers. Now, again, could you do a live action remake of a Disney classic and make it really good? You sure could, I think, theoretically. Have they done that? Absolutely not. So these two moments depict the same, these two stills depict the same emotion. The shot here, now I know you all know it, but I'll put on the clip anyway, right? I think it might be that is incredible. That is animation done right. It's filmmaking done right. Same score. Did you see it? That was it. Did you miss it? That was the same moment. I mean, fuck me, really. Honestly. Facial expressions, character design, the way that character design tells you things about a character without them needing, you know, you give a lot of visual information, right? Without without dialogue or anything like that, or without them even being in a scene. Now, here's an interesting thing that you can use animation for that you can't really do in the same way without it, and that's this. The point I want to talk about here is how you can use animation to subtly alter the character design from one scene to another. And the Beast, I think, is a really good example of this. The Beast, because he is a man-creature hybrid, they can make him... This is the very, very first time in the film that you see the Beast's face. And you can see he looks a lot more feral, a lot more animalistic, right? He's on all fours, hunched over. The way that the lighting is spiked up, all the rest of it, right? It's supposed to look threatening and unfamiliar, and you can use the character design to move from that. This is when Belle asks the Beast to step into the light, and you get this shot of him, and he's still very beastly, and also it's from this is another thing, right? Oh, I'm going to bounce around a bit. The other thing is that these animated films are a lot better at is understanding how to convey visual information. I've got so many examples of this. This is a shot that starts at the Beast's feet and pans up him, and the point is to show how big and menacing he is. It's shot from, when you get to this part, your view as the camera is looking up here. So you're getting this sense of he is looming over you. He's very large and terrifying, right? But already some of those animal features have been softened. And then by the time this is him on the dance floor, strutting his stuff, and you know, obviously he's smiling. All the features have been softened in so many ways, and it's stuff like that. It's a lot easier to do now. So by contrast, right? Firstly, they do this whole scene of Belle asking the Beast to step into the light completely differently and badly in the remake. And what happens is she says to step into the light, and he doesn't immediately. So Belle grabs a candlestick and holds it up towards him so that she can see his face. So this is the first sight that Belle gets of the Beast's face in the remake. He's not looming, he's not menacing, he's doing this weird pout which he does all the way through this goddamn film. I have never seen a shot of this character where he was not doing this stupid fucking pout. It drives me nuts. So it's just a very strange, it's a dark shot, you don't really get a good look at him, but there's also none of the kind of you just don't get the same visual information. Now, a point that I was going to talk about later, but I might as well take the opportunity to mention it now, because it's probably a good thing to keep in mind as we're talking about all this. if you don't have to take my word for it that these films suck. Disney know they do, and I can tell you, and I'll tell you how I know that, because the films assume you have seen the original. That there is so much information that your brain, whether you know it or not, is filling in based on your existing knowledge of the story and of the animated film. And I've got a couple of good examples of that. That if you had not seen the animated one, the scenes would not really make sense to you. And that's why there's a disconnect in these films. Or part of the reason there's a disconnect. Yeah, so you fail to accomplish the scariness of the animal beast, but there's also less humanity. Because... Anyway, so just keep that thought in mind, that you are, whether you know it or not, filling in gaps about based on your pre-existing knowledge. I mentioned about Beast on the dance floor before. Here he is again, just to remind you. This is the closest I could find to an equivalent shot, which is going to also play into a much worse point that I have in a moment. I don't think I had ever watched this the Beauty and the Beast Tale as Old as Time ballroom scene from the remake until yesterday, or the day before maybe, and it was worse in so many more ways than I thought it was going to be. It managed to, from my rock bottom expectations, it managed to find a rockier bottom, which is almost unbelievable, frankly. I've only really talked about character design and animation versus live action as a form. I haven't even got on to the actors they use, the music, the story, the politics, and all of those are huge points. So I think I've probably laboured the point about this long enough. The design of the characters is much worse, and that is practically always going to be the case, because those animated characters are so memorable. Now again, if you don't believe me, take Disney's word for it. I googled, by way of research for this, I searched for Lion King t-shirt. Doesn't look like they're particularly interested in selling merchandise based off the new design. There's some from the theatre show, some from the stage show. So anyway, this is and by the way, so I was like, well, okay, what if I search, instead of searching Lion King t-shirt, because to be fair, I guess this has had 25 years of history to, establish itself. I searched for Lion King 2019 t-shirt. And half the fucking results are still for the original. And half of them are for completely unrelated things. This one down here, on the middle row on the right, isn't even a Lion King t-shirt. It's just a t-shirt with lions on. As I say, Disney know all this, okay? And by the way, just before I move on from design and animation, this issue is not reserved for the characters even. Anyone know where this is? Anyone know where this is? Want to take a guess? You could figure it out. I'm sure you could, from the architecture and so on. But you'd have to think about it. Maybe it's Numenor from the Rings of Power series. Now, where's this? Anyone not know where this is? This design, 50 years from now, people will instantly recognise this. Will recognise this as the Sultan's Palace from Aladdin. The one I showed you before could be something from the Rings of Power. It will be, like you'll do a pub quiz and there'll be like a picture round. It will be like, where are these locations? And it's obscure enough that it will form part of a quiz like that, Now, I think we should talk a bit about the actors, and then we'll go on to the music. Music is where I'm going to put a lot of emphasis. But I just want to briefly talk about the actors, because obviously, as we all know, the originals cast a lot of like Broadway actors, relative unknowns, and despite that, they managed to create these classics. Little Mermaid is played by an actor called Jodie Benson. the most famous voice in The Little Mermaid? I couldn't even tell you. Couldn't even tell you. So this is Angela Lansbury doing Be Our Guest, her Mrs. Potts bit on Be Our Guest.
It's a guest, sakes alive, and I'll be blessed. Wine's been poured and thank the Lord I've had the napkins freshly pressed. With dessert, she'll want tea, and my dear, that's fine with me. While the cups do their sauce-chewing, I'll be bubbling, I'll be brewing. I'll get warm, I'll be hot. Heaven's sakes, is that a spot? Clean it up, we want the company impressed. We've got a lot to do. Is it one up or two for you, I guess? She's our guest.
Oh my god. See, like, she's acting the song. Oh my, like, you see that enthusiasm. Now, this is not to drag on Emma Thompson, by the way, who I think is probably not in the top 5 worst performers in the Beauty and the Beast remake. But you cannot, you just can't replicate it. And you know, again, we know why Disney are making these movies, but what's the point, really, if none of them are an improvement? If they are consistently weaker in every way, what is the point? I tell you what, Ewan McGregor, as much as I like him, he couldn't hold a candle to Jerry Orbach. You know, Jerry Orbach as well as Lumiere, really great performer. And then, you know, Paige O'Hara plays Belle and is a seasoned Broadway singer, amazing job, great voice. And then they cast Emma Watson in the remake. And look, it's difficult because I don't really want to dunk on Emma Watson. Really, it's not even really her fault. She, you know, I mean, she should know that she was not up to the role, but if someone offers you the job, what are you gonna do? It's not her fault. It's the producer's fault. It's Disney's fault. It's their fault for taking an actress who's entirely unsuited for a role like that. And it's not just her inability to sing. It's not great, but her whole demeanor for Belle is really wrong. So anyway, it's not, as I say, Emma Watson is kind of the poster girl for this, because I think she's just a very stark example of being horribly miscast. Lion King used famous actors, but it's very well cast. Rowan Atkinson as Zazu, James L. Jones as Mufasa, Jeremy Irons as Scar. These are actors that really suit those roles. They're not just shoehorned in. You know, Beyonce as Nala. What? Why? Why? Because it's Beyonce and you want eyes on it, right? So you're like, we'll cast Beyonce. She's a bit of a draw, you know? In her first acting role since fucking Goldmember. We're just about to get onto Emma Watson's horribly auto-tuned voice.
It's a quiet village, little town. It's a quiet village.
Awful.
Every day, like the one before. Every day, like the one before.
It's horrible. It hurts me to hear it. Whatever personality she might have in her voice, and I don't really know what she sounds like as a singer, whatever personality that exists within her voice is taken out by that auto-tune process. So any personality, any personality, I guess. I can't phrase it better than that. Exactly. It hits the note.
Little town full of little people. Little town full of little people.
What is that? It literally sounds like a fucking video game. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. So if you are going to do a Broadway musical style film with a lot of songs in it, it is recommended that you get somebody who can sing. Now, by the way, there is no reason why Emma Watson could not have gone through some singing training, and maybe she did, but not enough. There are actors who can sing who aren't known as singers. Not to go back to the Moulin Rouge, but you know, here's Nicole Kidman and Ewan McGregor doing a fucking perfectly good job. That's the same Ewan McGregor who's in Beauty and the Beast, where he does do a pretty good job. He's the best singer in that cast, probably. Well, or maybe Luke Evans, I guess. But anyway, you get my point. It is fine to have actors do musical roles, but then you have to prepare them to do it, especially when you are filling the shoes of a Broadway singer who's brought these this amazing character to life so in such an iconic way.
Tenacity spanning decades of denial is simply why I'll be king undisputed, respected.
Now, who would like to see Be Prepared from the remake?
Meticulous planning, tenacity spanning decades of denial is simply why I'll be king undisputed, respected, saluted, and seen for the wonder I am. Yes, my teeth and ambitions are bared. Be prepared.
Horrible. Horrible. None of the imagery, none of the visual information, none of the character work. Just a lion jumping about on some rocks. William Shatner's Rocket Man energy, man, I would have never thought of that, but you are fucking right on. Oh, man. I need to get onto Beauty and the Beast, the Tale as Old as Time sequence, because this thing I want to strip down to its tight and curlies. I said I wanted this to be a celebration of the originals as much as a destruction of the new ones. This sequence is so much better than I remember, and when I was watching it back to compare to the new one, I was genuinely moved. I was welling up at how beautiful it is. It is a spectacular sequence. And when you think about and all the remake version, which I'll put on in a minute, tells me is that Disney don't understand their own fucking story. They don't understand what the point of this scene is and what the beauty of it is. But this is the culmination, the crescendo of his entire arc, really. This is the Beast's entire arc and a bit of Belle's arc as well, and I'll explain that in a minute. When he sees her at the bottom of the stairs, he is beaming. She's gorgeous, he knows it, and he cannot hide how fucking delighted he is about all this. Look at this. It's adorable. This guy is so endearing. What a sympathetic character. Right, firstly they have a dinner, which they don't do this in the remake. It's a lovely callback to the earlier scene where they try and have a meal together and he doesn't know what the fuck's going on and he ends up like blah, 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 in his bowl, and she's very gracious and sort of does the same thing to make him feel more comfortable and all that kind of thing. Nice callback. Look, he's figured out how to use a spoon. And then watch this, right? Belle is going to get up from the table, sprint to the other end, and drag him to the dance floor because she can't wait. She is so into this guy.
Small to say the least, both a little scared.
And she looks fucking thrilled all the way through, by the way. Now, here we go again. Look, he's still nervous. He's like, shit, am I ready for this? I know I've learned a lot, but shit, dancing? I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. And she is going to lead the first part of the dance. She's going to almost push him into the leading movement of a dance, right? And first thing she does, puts his arm on her thing, pulls herself closer, draws towards him. This is all visual information that you're getting. And then he's like, hey, I'm fucking doing it! I didn't know I could do this, what? Huh? What? And then he gains that confidence that was given to him by her, and he's off to the races. Next shot as they turn around, I'll lead. Off they go. I can lead now. Now they're doing getting a little bit more adventurous in their dancing, but nothing crazy, you know, just like you could do this with someone on a dance floor, couldn't you? Now, this is the bit, right? Now, I was thinking about... No, you know, I'll save this thought. So, once again, she's going to draw closer to him. Now, of course, what is Belle's arc as it pertains to the Beast? It is learning to trust him, to feel safe with him, and that's kind of the journey that she's on, right? She looks up at him, she looks thrilled, she nestles in, she feels safe. She trusts him. It is glorious. Lumiere's there, brings the lighting down. And then look, they finish their dance.
Song as old as rhyme. Beauty and the Beast.
And then walk out together, just quite naturally. The enchanted castle opens its door to imply they should go out to the balcony. And they walk out together, okay? Beautiful, beautiful sequence. Very, very moving. This is bad in ways that I didn't anticipate it would be bad, okay? Right, firstly, remember that shot of the Beast beaming at the top of the stairs and being like fucking thrilled to bits? And also her like just grinning ear to ear. She looks sort of confused. He's got that fucking pout. There's a half smile. We'll give her that. She's okay. He sort of tries to smile. I'll give him half a point. Right, now, before we see this, what was the point of the ballroom scene? In the scene that we just watched, what was the point of it? What was the movement in terms of characters that took place in that scene? They physically and emotionally drew closer together. She showed that she felt really safe and comfortable with him and was really just fucking keen on him. He, was very nervous about not being able to do all this stuff right, and kind of gained some confidence from her because she's such a generous, giving person that she makes him feel more secure and that kind of thing. And he proved to himself that he had changed as well, right? Right. What is going on in these characters' faces? Is she pleased? Is she happy? What's going on with him? The problem is Emma Watson has got to act against presumably something that isn't there half the time. She curtsies. He just stands there looking like straight ahead. Does his eye line even follow her? Let's have a look. Oh, it does a little bit. Okay, alright. He bows. I want to remind you at this point as well that that Belle is the daughter of a commoner. She herself is a commoner. There's something about that CGI that looks really wonky to me, but that's not even the biggest problem. They're doing this like proper ballroom dance, like a like a show, like a dance contest. This is like a proper ballroom dancing routine. So whereas the original scene, the point is to show how close they've got and how safe they feel with each other and how confident they make each other. This is just to show what good pair of dancers they are by what a complex routine they can do. Now, this is the only time that they get close in this entire routine is here, okay? Also, the scene is much worse lit. Now, I want you to have a look at Emma Watson's face when they go down for the dip, which is the only time. That's the other thing. You get lots of close-ups of their face in the animated ones. You can see what they're feeling. This one, look, it's all shot from this like weird middle distance the whole way through. It's fucking very odd, very odd. But anyway, here's the one time that they pull close. So this is where they should be warmth and security. And look at Emma Watson's face. To me, she looks like alarmed. She looks scared. That to me looks like fear. This shot is lifted directly from Ed Sheeran's Thinking Out Loud video. Let's do it one more time. She looks terrified. Ed Sheeran moment. 17. Now, there's one amazing moment that genuinely made me like laugh out loud in hilarity in a minute. So you'll remember when it got to the end of the song that they just seamlessly, the door opened to the cast to the balcony, and they both saw it open. They just walk out together, right? What is going on with the Beast's movement here as this song winds down? He's just going to stand like a statue, looking right, just dead ahead. It's very, very weird. Ready? Hello. And then she just sort of okay, so now she takes his arm. You will love me, beep boop. Heard any good rumours lately? So yeah, the instrumentation is worse. The arrangement is worse. And in this case, the biggest issue by far is that they don't even understand what the point of the fucking scene is. They've completely missed the story beat that is supposed to take place in that scene. And remember what I said earlier about you, the viewer, are filling in that gap yourself because you know that's what happens in that scene from the original. You'll do that joining up for them. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Without the knowledge of the original, it just wouldn't work. Here's Be Our Guest, and there's a couple of little things that I want to pick up on here. Lumiere is in the midst of singing here, we tell jokes, I do tricks with my fellow candlesticks. And then the next line is, but it's all in perfect taste, that you can bet. Who sings that line? Which characters or whatever sing it's all in perfect taste, that you can bet? And I feel like everyone will know this because I think it's quite memorable. It's loads of mugs and flagons.
With my fellow candlesticks.
Lovely. Spot on. And then they do a little dance routine.
It's fine dining we suggest. Be our guest, be our guest, be our guest.
Yeah, so it's a load of beer mugs. So hold on to that thought because I'll do this and one other point along with it. And then I want to talk about something insipid that they do in all of these things. Right, here's the big climax of Be Our Guest. Course by course, okay? We'll keep going course by course. Bam! One by one. It's a kick line. It's like French cabaret. It's a kick line, yeah? The things that the sugar pots are doing it. Now the forks are going to do it as they come down on the chandelier. They're on a kick line still, look. You get the idea. I want to rattle through this, so I feel like I'm running on time a little bit. So firstly, the beer mugs line. Who's singing? Who's singing? Who's singing? They have not established that there are backing singers in this. Not only do they get rid of the beer mugs, there is just random voices. There's just random voices. They haven't established them, that they've existed. Once again, you, the viewer, are imagining a load of beer mugs that are not there. Because you know there should be. Yeah, also horribly lit as always. Now they're also going to forget the kick line. No kick line. But the music is still a kick line. That's what this music is. It's a kick line. Even here where they've got characters like dabbing instead. For fuck's sake. Lumiere does dab in this as well. The point is, you are using... It's just... You're just missing so many opportunities. Now, there's also something really insipid that I just want to talk about in general with these remakes, the songs. which is that they constantly add like these 4 to 8 bar breaks all the time. They add them everywhere. So the songs all last about a third longer than the originals. Be our guest, we are guests, be our guest. In the original, this would go straight into beef ragu, cheese souffle. What's it going to do now? Okay, fine. That's not the only one. They're going to do this about 10 times in this song. Here's another one. Mrs. Potts gets a full breakdown. Who's the person that does these types of dance routines, like the synchronized swimming routines? Barbie something or other. She gets this whole thing. Needless, didn't do anything, didn't achieve anything, didn't give you any new information, was completely pointless. But this is a consistent thing that you find across these songs. They do it all over the place, which brings me finally onto the thing that inspired this entire stream. He takes on this tour of Under the Sea, right? He's showing all the wonders of Under the Sea. Now, in a minute, he's going to say, we've got the spirit, you've got to hear it under the sea. And then he's going to go into a thing where he introduces the whole aquatic band, okay? The newt play the flute, the cart play the harp, the place play the bass. Not only is he introducing them, they're all good like little gags, but the instrumentation is going to match what he talks about. So when he says the newt plays the flute, you're going to hear more flute. When he says they play the bass and they sound in sharp, you're going to hear the bass right up in the mix, okay?
Play the harp, the place play the bass, and they sound and sharp. The bass play the brass, the chop play the top. The flute is the Duke of Soul.
Yeah.
He can play the lings on the strings, the tom rocking on the block. This belt and this rod, they know where.
Right, so he's introducing the underwater band. Fish in the bowl is lucky. They're in for a worse fate. One day when the boss get hungry, and then a new fish, this blue fish, is going to sing, guess who gone beyond their plate? And he's got this big deep voice, right? He's got this bassy voice. Just to give it a little contrast, it's kind of like a little musical gag, I guess.
When the boss get hungry, guess who gonna be on the plate? Oh, no.
Horrifying. A genuinely terrifying shot of this guy charging at you. But there's no reason for him to sing it like that. And going back to the whole thing of like you needing the knowledge of the earlier film to make it work, the only reason for him to be singing it that way is because he's seen the original. So it takes it to this new meta level where this crab has seen the animated version of The Little Mermaid. We've got the spirit, you've got to hear it under the sea. Would you guys like to meet the aquatic band that play the flute and the cart and the harp and the bass?
Even the sturgeon and the ray, they get the urge and start to play. We got the spirit, you've got to
hear it. Here they are. Oh, sorry.
The newt play the flute, the cart play the harp, the place play the bass, and they sounding sharp. The bass play the brass.
These are turtles?
The flute is the Duke of Soul. Yeah, the
that's a seal.
Play the lings on the strings, the trout rocking out the blackfish. They sing the smelt and the spread. They know where he's at, and all that blowfish blow.
I hate his delivery of the lines. Oh, did anyone call for an insipid dance break unnecessarily? You're going to need it, aren't you? I think. The kids, they love their dance breaks. They love, you know, they watch Glee, didn't they, in the High School Musical. They got to have a dance break. It's still going! The last sung line was a minute ago. You do? You've got a hot crustacean band. Where are they? Where are they, please? Where is the hot crustacean band? I have no evidence that you have a hot crustacean band. I remember a version of this where they showed a hot crustacean band at the moment they talk about it. Like, this is just a really fucking noisy shot with a shitload of jellyfish in it. The other thing that I've just been reminded of is that in the original Under the Sea, about 2/3 of the way through, while they're doing that band bit, Flounder whispers something to... See, she's not even paying attention, right? He's trying to convince her of the joys of staying under the sea. And she sort of like listens to him to start with and then gets fucking bored because she's thinking about her dream of being on the land again. And then she just fucks off halfway through the song because she's not listening. And Sebastian, because he's so like arrogant, he just gets carried away and he's just like, fuck it, I'm caught up in my own groove, man. I've got the hot crustacean band here. What do you want me to do? She is still present and accounted for at the end of this version. She's actually singing along. It's almost like he's actually got the message over. She's duetting with him, which is sort of a shorthand for we're on the same wavelength, right? In like musical theatre. So yeah, just a total fuck up. So look, I think that probably just about covers off all the things I wanted to rant about. That has been a lot of fun ranting for 2 solid hours about this, I must be honest. I've very much appreciated all your input and additional points, things that I hadn't even thought to get angry about. Disney don't know what these stories are for. They don't understand their own stories if they think that these are sort of worthy additions, but they don't think that. That's the point I want to make. Disney, everything I just said is not only correct and true, but Disney know it as well. And you can tell that they do not have faith in these as lasting pieces of artistic endeavour. That is not their purpose. They are not there to be lasting pieces of artistry in any sense. Now look, Disney were always a company that wanted to make a shit ton of money, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the original Aladdin is some kind of altruistic venture, but there is some kind of artistic spark and a desire to make some story and something lasting. And you can tell, because we're now coming up, we're not that far away, we're 15 years out from Snow White being 100 years old, and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs still instantly recognisable, instantly familiar, and just great design. The thing is, the hard work's done for them. They've got the stories and the characters and everything are right there. Change less. Thanks so much for your company. I have really enjoyed it. I've got a lot off my chest, obviously, but I hope you've all enjoyed it as much as I have.